bit mellow today. I don't know, I'm just not feeling like in the zone. But I do have to film, and I was just procrastinating. I didn't want to do it. And then I came across this video. It's new, I think, where these two women called Tia and Maya. Tia Ward is a YouTuber. Maya Jama is a presenter in the UK. Where they just have like a chat. It's almost like a podcast made in a car. It's like 45 minutes long, and they just chat about so much stuff. It's just so inspiring, and so like what I would have really needed as a teenager. And then I went on Twitter and I saw my friend Grace had put up her new blog post, which is things I wish I could tell my teenage self, or something similar. And I was like, you know what? The world, the earth is calling today. It knows what I need to do. I'm going to tell you some things that I wish I could tell my teenage self. You don't need to care so much about fitting in just to go unnoticed. I cared so much about trying to blend in, trying to wear the same clothes as everyone, even though I dressed differently, and the people I actually aspired to be like in the school didn't dress how I wanted to dress and didn't look the way I wanted to look. I just desperately didn't want to stand out. And so I bought the same trainers as everyone. This is even in like sixth form. Like I tried to, I bought the same skinny jeans. I did what I could to look away, which I thought would make me blend in and thus fit in and, be a part of the crowd. But actually, I didn't realize, but I just stood out. Like I was already like Weird Lucy. I was already making videos 24/7. And I was an art student, effectively. I tried so hard to blend in. I put so much emphasis on it, and I really tried, and yet it was ultimately fruitless because I wore Doc Martens to school and had huge hair, and like just me, it wasn't effective. And completely fruitless as well, because there's no point living your life to fit in. We are all blessed with the most amazing unique character traits and unique style and unique ideas, and if we just try and nullify that to fit in with a crowd, what's the point? And I found out towards the end of my first year of uni anyway that I just stood out as a person regardless. I had this huge curly hair. It wasn't like I could hide. I was the sort of person, and I still am apparently the sort of person where when I walk into a room, some people generally notice that I've walked into that room. I don't draw attention to myself naturally, but you've just got to embrace that sometimes people look. And that's actually a blessing. Make your own mistakes. Don't just roll over and apologize. This is still, I'm learning this slowly, but it's still something that affects me. And the first time I remember doing it is in year 4. And I remember having a friend who blamed me for something, and it wasn't my fault. Like, I knew it wasn't my fault, but I thought the easiest way of dealing with it would be to apologize, take full blame for it, and then gloss over it like nothing ever happened. That doesn't work, because you will hold resentment, first of all, and on top of that, it's not healthy because it's reinforcing someone else's complex. And on top of that, it doesn't sustain a healthy friendship because you both know something's a bit up. It doesn't solve a problem. And I only started to really learn that like last year. I spent so much time in school trying to fix friendships by just rolling over, apologizing, and hoping that the discomfort would not continue. If you've done something wrong, you should apologize, and I am never afraid of apologizing. But you should not take full blame. You should make it a discussion and a dialogue and try and come to some kind of mutual apology. Like, that is just so... There's always... It takes two to tango. It always takes two to tango. And the reason I would roll over and apologize is because the two feelings that I fear and like hate the most in the world are guilt and shame. And they just get me. Cool, that's a bit deep, isn't it? But they really are, to me at least, the worst feelings in the world. And so... and they will eat me alive. And so I always thought that was the way to deal with them. But it's not. Like, you have to come to some kind of, conclusion. The conclusion of it helps you move forwards. And then when I have done something that's wholly my fault, which does happen, apologizing is really important, and owning up to the mistake. And then using that ownership to move forward. This is some advice that I received when I was a teenager, and it saved me so much stress. So I'm going to share it now, even though I didn't necessarily need it as a teenager, but I did need to hear it. So I did hear it, but at the time. So basically I got lucky. But the advice is that if you are about to have sex with someone, there is no point worrying about what your naked body looks like, because they already want to see it. They don't care. They just want to have sex with you for whatever reason. Hopefully for a combination of your personality and being attracted to you and chemistry and da-da-da-da-da. But They want to see you naked. So don't stress about what that looks like. You shouldn't let your own insecurities hold you back from having a great time, because they want to have a great time with you. You want to have a great time with them. You're good. This one took me so long to grasp, but nobody knows what is healthy, really. Like, people, is all theories. If you are eating your vegetables and you're exercising, that is agreed upon. Like that is healthy. Everything else, up for discussion, because you've got to remember that physical health and mental health are so intricately related, and so you can't separate the two and say, remove this food group, don't eat this one thing, because ultimately that will be damaging to your mental health when you create obsessive tendencies and you start to overthink and dwell on something that is actually just fuel. Food is fuel, and it keeps you healthy in your mind and your body, and so it's important to keep it diverse and keep it like everything in moderation. But other than that, just don't stress unless you have like an allergy. Eat your vegetables and do some exercise. That is what I know about healthy eating, despite having been told 101 things, all conflicting, my whole life. Teenage Lucy saw all sorts of eating as well, all sorts of influences, none of them healthy. So if Teenage Lucy could take one bit of advice on board, I'd really like it to be that one. Again, all of these things cause me so much stress, and it's just, this is me stress reducing for my past self. Find inspiration in the people you think of as role models, either online or in person, or people you aspire to be like, but don't let that manifest in envy. Like, will you believe it? There was a time pre-Instagram, and I lived in that time, and that didn't actually stop any of this curation of a profile and curation online of the personal life and projecting what you wanted people to see. That still existed, mainly on Facebook, on Bebo, on MSN Messenger even. But even more than that, just like people in real life, like people who just appeared like on the surface to be so cool. I just wanted to be cool. I wanted to be cool so much. The answer is generally they do what they want to do, and they look the way they want to look and buy the clothes they want to buy. And then on top of that, they also do care quite a lot. But they get to a point where they can kind of relax a bit on it and not like judge themselves so harshly. I think, at least. I think that's the formula. But yeah, I just used to spend so much time comparing myself, and it's so cliche and so obvious, but just don't. Like use that. If you're going to do it, use it to then find the good shit, you know, in yourself, and use it to bring out elements of yourself that you can then work with. Don't then use that to shame other people or get envious or get jealous and feel bitterness towards that person. That's not going to help either of you. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing when you leave school or college. Where I'm from, once you leave college or sixth form or whatever, you are expected to go to university. The expectation is that everyone goes to university because you're smart and you do what everyone else does because that's how you get a good job. As you can tell, I don't necessarily agree. I was always expected to take academic subjects. I was always expected to fit a certain box of pretty white girl who is a perfect model of what a girl should be because she had this kind of education and this kind of upbringing, I guess. And I realized relatively early on that I'm a creative person and that I just want to make things my whole life. But I suppressed it because that wasn't what was expected of me. And this isn't pressure from my parents necessarily. They wanted me to be good academically, but it was more the whole environment. I was expected to care so much about becoming a lawyer or an accountant or just getting a job in marketing, you know? That was the aspiration, was for you to be successful, and in their terms of success was to make enough money to support yourself and do the normal trajectory of life and be stable. I wasn't going to have that and be satisfied. Anyway, so I was looking into doing film production, and I found the universities I wanted to go to. I started writing my UCAS application. I wrote 2 personal statements, one for history and one for film production. But ultimately, the thing that dissuaded me from doing film wasn't that I felt like pushed into the pressure to go and do history. Thank goodness, because my parents were great and they were like, do what you want to do. But I spoke to someone who'd done the course I wanted to do, and he said very frankly, don't do it. It's not that beneficial. Anything you want to learn about film, you can learn from being in the YouTube community and doing work and gaining actual experience. So that's like my long story of me at 16 freaking out about what course to do at uni. But even then, I thought I had to go to uni, and ultimately I did want to because I wanted a degree. It was a long-term goal of mine, but again, is that because it had been told to me that it should be? I don't know. But I wanted to go to uni. I wanted to study something at a higher level because there was lots of stuff I was interested in, but it never even crossed my mind not to go. And that's quite scary because I'm now in £45,000 of debt. For the job I'm currently doing, as you know, lots of YouTubers don't go to uni. They don't need it. And the places I could have got to by now if I'd moved up to London at 18 and just worked, I could be really financially stable right now. I could have established a name for myself. And the way that my career is currently going is really interesting to me because I could have done all of this without a degree. And I have the degree, and I've almost delayed myself. And I wonder where I would be if I hadn't gone. I'm really glad I went ultimately, but it's really important to know that you don't have to. And just because everyone else is doing a thing doesn't mean you shouldn't just do something different, because ultimately the people who follow what they actually wanted to do are the people who will be most successful. Because once you've got drive, and once you've got such internal drive to do something, you will work at it and work at it. You'll work all hours of the day for it. And that is what will make you successful. What is it? Success is hard work mixed with opportunity. But yeah, I get questions all the time about what people should do when it comes to going to uni, whether they should go or not, what course they should take. Usually tiny little questions like, should I take history or politics? Should I go to SOAS or should I go to UCL? Who should I apply for? They're so stressed about it. Their parents want them to do it. And I'm sitting there thinking, if you are blessed enough to be able to have these choices, use that blessing to your advantage. Do the thing you actually want to do. There are so many people who don't have that choice, and they will end up doing the stuff that they don't want to do, but they weren't given the option not to. You're given the option. So take what you want to do and do that thing. I very much live with the mindset that you always regret the things you didn't do, not the things you did in the long term. Yeah, so don't regret the things you didn't do. Just do it. Do it. And that is all my advice, pretty much. I hope that this helped at least one person who is a teenager who needs advice, because I could have done with it myself. I'll link Maya and Tia's video in the down bar, and I'll link Grace's things I would have told my teenage self blog post in the down bar, so go check them out. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.